All right. How's it going, everybody? I just got out of the gym like an hour ago. Got home, just took a shower, and yeah, I'm in my room now. I got my fan set on 3 speed. If that is too like much background noise for you guys, just let me know. I tested, like I did a little video on like 4 speed and 5 speed, and I was like, that's way too fucking loud. So I got it set at 3. It keeps me comfortably cool, and I don't think it's interrupting a whole lot. So we'll try it out. And yeah, we're adding more to the videos, guys. I'm setting a thumbnail with an actual purpose this time. It's not just from like the video. That image of me, that photo, that is just over 2 years old. And I know it's a little hard to tell like how big I was because I was laying flat on a bed, but that was me at well over 400 pounds. I was hanging out with some buddies of mine, and I got off work at like 2 p.m. that day. I was working first shift, and then within a couple hours, there was me just passed out on the bed. They ended up watching a movie. I think they watched Dune, which I'm not like the biggest fan of sci-fi, but like in recent times, I've been watching a lot of movies, and yeah, if I watch it late, I have trouble like, staying up. Like I just watched Jackie Brown recently, and I did find the dialogue legitimately interesting, but also at the same time, I was running on like 5 or 6 hours of sleep, and it was just too. It was not like it's not a super action packed movie. Now towards the end, there's some stuff that goes on that's a little wild, but I have to be like fully like awake and alert to probably enjoy most movies, and that's my own fault for being tired like that, not taking the proper measures, my sleep hygiene, getting that in order. But they were watching Dune, and I literally like 30 minutes in, I was just like dozing off, man. Like it was bad. And that photo of me, it looks like I'm dead, right? But promise, that is not a dead body. That was me passed out in my work uniform, just just out of it. That sleep was good. I do remember that was good. I had ate a little food and passed out. Thankfully, I don't do that as much anymore. And part of that reason is a change in a lot of my bad habits. Hence what this video is about, addictions and vices. So I'm going to talk about the different, my different struggles that I've had throughout my life. I'm going to talk about the severity of like each vice. Not all of them were addictions per se, and I am not going to say that like I'm like totally just like, oh, I'm so far removed from the things that I was addicted to. It's a battle. It's an everyday battle, and I do expect in the future to probably slip up. I'm human. Again, I got to give myself that grace. So I've kind of categorized some each of these things by like how frequently I use them. So I'm going to start off with the things that I steered clear of, things that I never partook in, and things that I just thankfully never had to struggle with. So I've never done any like of the very well-known hard drugs, or even really some of like the lesser known hard drugs. I've never done cocaine, never done heroin, I've never done meth, I've never done what's that called? It's escaping me at this time. I've never done spice, like synthetic marijuana. I think there were some issues with that. That one had more issues than regular marijuana. I'm not too well informed on it, but most of the things that you know that are like illegal, like no, never really fooled with them. I've never abused prescriptions. I did have at one point in my life, my cousin kind of peer pressure me into taking one of his Adderall, and he got me to ingest it without the capsule. All I really remember doing for several hours throughout the night, because I didn't sleep that night, I just remember cleaning his shoes with a toothbrush. And I remember those shoes looking real fucking clean. So that's my experience with misusing, I suppose, prescriptions. But yeah, I've never abused them. Didn't take anything. Things that you hear about, like people buying, any like painkillers. Never, no like gabapentin, none of that stuff. Either like muscle relaxers, things you'd have to go through for a doctor to get. Never did that. Never abused anything over the counter either. So like Tylenol, ibuprofen. I think Sudafed, is that over the counter? I don't really know a whole lot about drugs, to be honest. At least not that. And you know, thankfully never had to deal with that either. And then some other drugs, I guess, that are like less serious, but they're not pills that you would get by either a prescription or something that you could buy over the counter. I never fooled with psychedelics, so no mushrooms. I've never like huffed anything, so like spray paint, or my own shit. I guess people get high off of that. Nothing, no gases. Like I didn't do like whippets or anything like that, or that galaxy gas shit. I don't even really know much about that. I know that was a thing. That was being marketed to the youth at one point, I'm pretty sure. Tisk. I do have family that have struggled with these substances and still do. And I have friends that struggle with these substances, have struggled and still do. And I suppose I'm grateful that I never fell into that. Now, and moving on to stuff that was a bit more casual, things that I did like a handful of times. Probably could count on my fingers, if not my fingers and toes, how many times I did in my life. Few and far between. I did vape like for a very, very like short stint in like high school. I'd like smack off of other people's vapes, right? But I never like bought my own vape. I think I've hit like my roommate's vape like a couple years ago too. Marijuana, I've smoked twice. I smoked the first time. I was peer pressured by my cousin, the same cousin that got me to take one of his Adderall, and I was around some of his like buddies. They were all like 3-4 years older than me, and got into a family member's stash and tried to like fake hit a blunt. That was that was something. I was scared out of my mind, but looking back, it was just so silly. The next time I was 18, and it was like over Christmas break, and I sat down and I smoked with a family member and some family friends just to try it, just to say, I'm 18, worth a shot, right? I didn't really like the taste. It fucked with my lungs, and I didn't like the smell. And honestly, I'm glad that I don't fool with it. Feel like it was a bullet dodged. Marijuana will not ruin your life the same way that a lot of other substances will. It's kind of a quiet killer, man. It really is. Being too chill is a thing, whether you want to admit it or not. And it can kind of prevent people from moving past a lot of personal issues in their lives, and keep them complacent. As for like gummies, I've also done twice. Once was without my knowledge. Not cool. But nothing really. I didn't really feel anything. I don't know how strong they were, but I just, yeah, that was kind of whatever the fuck, you know. Now cigars, other things I smoke, cigars and cigarettes. I did those a little more. I did that a little more than hitting the green stuff, going off the cabbage. I started smoking cigars, specifically Black and Milds. I've never smoked like cigarillos, like a Swisher or a White Owl or anything like that. The stuff that you would remove the tobacco and smoke weed with, or at least that's basically what everyone does with them, right? But I did smoke Black and Milds. I picked up that habit after a coworker got on my nerves so bad throughout a shift. They were losing their mind. They went off their meds and they were like psychotic, and they drove me up a fucking wall. And I was half tempted to quit. By the end of the night, I had a headache, and I just decided to, after that, fuck it, buy a pack of Black and Milds. I bought some wines. It sounded good. They smelled the best of all the Black and Milds, which I will say, I don't know if anyone else thinks this, but Black and Milds, like the normal Black and Milds, the original, they kind of smell like Fig Newtons. I don't know if anyone else gets that vibe, but I don't know. It is a pleasant smell to me. I still like them. That's part of why I think I enjoyed them more than cigarettes, because it didn't leave me with that same smell. Now it did leave my mouth kind of like with a raw feeling, and like the back of my throat kind of feeling like burnt a little bit. I don't know if you guys got that, but I smoked like a 5-pack throughout like a month's time here or there. Nothing too crazy, but those things are loaded with nicotine. And cigs, I usually did as a social thing. Black and Milds, I could smoke like out on the porch just by myself and just sit there and enjoy it. Cigs, it was usually because all my buddies would step out and take a smoke break, and I felt bad and felt left out. So, I suppose a worse reason. I didn't smoke menthols. I cry too easily anyways. I probably just cry more. But I did smoke the ones that had I will say I did enjoy some flavors like Camel Royals. That's got a good flavor. And I'm not saying that you all need to pick up these habits or should continue doing them if you do. I'm just describing my experiences with them. But Camel Royals had a good flavor. And I smoked American Spirits, the healthiest cigarette, right? Just tobacco and water. But dark blues, I smoked dark blues. So I like to smoke, I guess, the more special, blend of cigarettes. I think I did smoke a Marlboro Special Blend here or there as well. But I quit that. All of those things before the smoking, that was something that kind of just fell out. That was one or two times. For smoking, I actually did have to sit there and stop doing it. I ended up giving most of them away, most of the cigs I had, and I will say, that is a good way to start to talk to people at like concerts or bars or something like that. If you offer someone a cig, you can get to like sit there and talk with them while they're smoking a cig, and it's one of those things, like if they're a smoker, they're probably not going to reject it, especially a cig from like a fucking $12 pack of cigarettes, right? So, hey, I guess some bad advice there. If you want to get to start to talking to people, carry a pack of cigs around, even if you don't smoke them, and carry a lighter too, just in case. People will ask to bum a light here and there. But I stopped smoking officially in September, and I haven't looked back. That wasn't really an issue for me. It was really nothing felt lost there. It was not a hard thing. The same thing goes for nicotine pouches. I'd carry them around and just offer them to people from time to time just to try it. I really liked Velos. At least like the flavor. Some of them I'd get like the 3 milligram because I wasn't used to nicotine like that, and especially not something that you'd like throw in your mouth. No homo. And like the flavor, it was good, but making sure to like spit that stuff out. I think it was like safe to swallow, but I didn't trust that. But like the cappuccino flavor, wild berry, it was actually good to me. But I ended up giving most of those away too. And I know nicotine can have some positive effects, for people. I know it helps them lock in from time to time, but I just didn't need it. So yeah, all the stuff that I smoked or the pouches I threw in, I did legitimately like I enjoyed the flavor, but it was just unnecessary. And honestly, I don't want to increase risk of cancer. And I don't want my clothes smelling bad. And I don't want to get into a habit of like, if I don't have nicotine, then I'm going to become like irritated. So that was the stuff that was pretty casual, was a blip in my life, essentially. As for the stuff that was more, happened on more occasions, one of those was alcohol. I was someone that would have like a drink or two a week every now and then. Sometimes it was every other week or maybe like in a month. And then sometimes I'd binge. I've had a few moments where I binged, and legitimately embarrassing. I had a few drinking nights with buddies where we all got pretty drunk, drinking games and whatnot. I do know a few drinking games that are definitely fun, and they will get you fucked up if you want to play them. And I am also sworn to the game of life. I don't know if anyone knows about the game of life, if any of your buddies do it. I'm not going to say anything else about it, but I'm swore in. So maybe your buddies have sworn you in already. I don't know. But my worst experience with alcohol was when I went down to New Orleans. I went down there about 3.5 years ago, and I was I was enjoying my first night in the on Bourbon Street in the French Quarter. Like if you go down there, the nightlife, like it's busy on like a Tuesday afternoon, but if you want to talk like family stuff even, but if you talk about like a weekend night, it is fucking insane. Prepare to pay $40 fucking dollars or $50 fucking dollars for a parking spot if you want to get something nearby, unless you got something arranged ahead of time with like some parking service or something like that. They will fucking ream you. But there on Bourbon Street, there's no shortage of places to buy alcohol. There's a bunch of daiquiri bars, and you want to talk about getting like basically an alcoholic smoothie that is this fucking tall? Like, dude, I drank that. I drank a Hurricane. I had some beer. Like, I mixed it. I never really had an issue with mixing alcohol like that. I could chug a beer and then go drink a rum and Coke. Or Coke Zero, I should say. That was my go-to. I didn't really drink the sugary drinks too much. But I got so drunk, and like it took a while to hit, but it hit after a few hours. All I can really remember after a couple hours of just drinking, and bouncing from like, club to club, I remember being around the people that were staying at the same hostel as me. Communal living, save a little money, it's cheaper. Wasn't really a bad place. Not the Ritz by any means, but hey, 21-year-old with not a lot of money. It worked for me. And all I remember is like being around the people that I hung out with in the hostel. We traveled as a group for a little bit. I remember meeting back up with the rest of the group, had a group hug, and then literally 5 seconds later, I lost where the fuck I was. I knew how to get back to the hostel, but at the same time, an urge to piss rattled my fucking body. And at that point, I I stumbled down to the hostel. I tried to get back in with the code that they'd given because the door was locked to keep people out that didn't pay for the hostel. And I knew the code, but I forgot to hit the pound key after pushing the numbers in. So I freaked the fuck out and I was too scared to just urinate in public in fear of being labeled like a sex offender. Even though there was probably like 5 other people doing that at any given time on like a Saturday night in New Orleans or on Bourbon Street. But I decided to waddle away and then just piss down my leg. I pissed down my pants. Let me tell you, that was embarrassing. I eventually was able to call my buddy that was in the hostel, and I had to admit to him that I had pissed myself. And that was really embarrassing. I did still drink from time to time throughout that trip, but I didn't get drunk for the rest of that trip. Then the last time I got really fucked up was when I had moved into a new apartment a few years ago, and I had like 27 shots of rum in like 90 minutes. Had I not been so fat, that may have killed me. I don't know. But that was that was something else. So that was those are my 2 probably worst experiences with alcohol. And yeah, I cut that out actually sooner than I cut out smoking. I had stopped drinking in, I think it was June of 2025. I took all of the alcoholic drinks that I had bought and just kind of had sitting around that I would occasionally, crack open. I ended up giving those to my buddies, and they drank them, eventually. I don't miss it. It wasn't really a struggle for me, and I think it's helped with the weight loss journey. No amount of alcohol is really healthy for you, and it's a poison, man. Your body cannot prioritize taking care of itself if it has to eliminate a toxin from itself. The other thing that I did on occasion was gamble. I would spend $10 to $20 on scratch-off tickets, and I never really hit like anything big. But thankfully, actually, I'm kind of glad. I think it kind of pissed me off that I never won big money, and that probably pushed me away from even fooling with them. But then again, I would only usually buy $1, $2, or $3 tickets, sometimes a $5, and I think I bought a couple 10s when I won like $20, but then I never bought them again because I lost like the money that I had earned from lower denomination tickets and got like two losing $10 tickets. But I'd play the dollar scratch offs, man, and like one time I hit like $40 and maybe a 20 apart from that, and like 12 or 10 here or there, but like I would buy $10 or $20 tickets at a time, and it would just kill the time. I'd buy crosswords because that could kill the time, and I legitimately liked doing them. And honestly, if a buddy of mine bought me a crossword, I probably would still play it just for fun. Like if they bought it and like they were like, hey, don't just see if I want anything. Like I'm not expecting any money. I would just do it to kill the time. I like learning new words. I was actually planning on buying a thesaurus here soon. But the bigger issue was going to casinos. Once I turned 21, I went to play some slots, and I've lost probably like $300 of like my actual money that I brought in, here or there. And I could have walked away when I was up, and I didn't. I won like 300 at one point, and I blew that like an idiot. But house always wins, and that shit is set up so that it wants to keep you in there. There's a reason that when you go to casinos, you can't see outside normally. They don't want you to think about the time passing. They just want you to sit there, spend your money. And yeah, they'll comp you. They'll comp you a free meal here or there. They'll comp you a suite if you spend enough money. They'll comp you free drinks. Anything to keep you hooked and keep wasting away. And I never really felt tempted to do it. I stopped gambling like in a casino. I stopped doing that in, I want to say, right around when I started my weight loss journey, probably in March of 2025. But then stupid carny games got me for some money here or there, and I don't play those anymore. I would probably still make bets with people, not like sports bets or anything like that. That's another thing that will keep you locked in and waste your money and keep you poor. But like, hey, would I bet my buddy to see if I could make like a 3-point shot or some shit like that? Not just, guys being guys, maybe. Or like saying like, oh, I could beat this level in a video game. Or bet on an arm wrestling match or something like that. Shit that's not really that big of a deal. Money that's not a whole lot. I would probably still do that. But at least we would know the terms ahead of time, and like it would be fair and square. And playing carny games where the rules are not entirely explained to you until you're already starting to win or starting to lose money, fuck that. Never again. And I do not want to be 65 and blowing my Social Security check at a casino. Actually, I don't even know if Social Security will be available to people at 65 by the time I'm 65. So I'm not even betting on that. I'm not even betting on it existing. I mean, it's a pyramid scheme. But I don't want that. I didn't want that to be my reality. And, I think part of it was coping to believing that, that I wasn't good enough. People wouldn't like me unless, I drink, or if I can't win this game, then I'm a failure. Shit like that. I think it really does feed off of that insecurity in people. And I just don't need it. I can walk into a bar and not worry about any sort of temptation with alcohol. I can now walk into a casino like I did for a family member's birthday last year. Not really feel tempted to play anything. Maybe go order some food. They usually do have pretty good food. But yeah, that was the stuff that I did from time to time. And, honestly, it's just saving my wallet. And it's getting harder and harder to save money. So, like, hey, it's just doing me a favor, man. Sorry, I got to switch my notes over. We're getting into stuff that now became a daily thing. So, in order of what I have quit, or I guess kind of cut back on, video games took up a big part of my early childhood and then into middle school and high school. It was definitely an escape. I don't really play them as much as I used to. There was actually a time where I really hadn't played a video game in like months. But I've definitely dumped a lot of hours into just a select few games, to be honest, and I don't want to do that anymore. I've had my fun with a lot of games, like the Elder Scrolls games, the Fallout games, Bully, the Rockstar game, the school shooter game, if you guys remember that one. That one I put a lot of hours into. I legitimately loved that game. I still do, and I will probably buy a copy of it to have for the 360 that I want to buy. And I know it sounds weird, like, well, you quit video games, but you're talking about buying consoles. So, I'm definitely avoiding a lot of the shit that's coming out nowadays. These $120 games that are half-baked, 60 gigabyte updates and shit like that drives me fucking batty. And I'm not saying that all the games that come out now are slop, but as with a lot of issues in today's society, these companies already have their fucking money, so they don't feel like they need to work for it. So I'm going to vote with my wallet, and I'm going to opt to instead go buy games that I actually would enjoy playing. I have an original Xbox now. I have a PS2 now. I have a Game Boy Advance now. A lot of that was through trading other old games I had that I don't care about anymore. And I don't have a whole lot of them, and I try to limit my playing these video games to like an hour a day. Maybe an extra hour later in the day if I feel like I've accomplished enough for that day. Maybe that's not the healthiest thing to do, to like be like, I can only play them if I do this, but I figure that I don't want it to take hold of my life. But I also want to experience the game. There's a lot of games I didn't get to experience. And I dumped so many hours into a lot of just a select few games. And that was definitely an escape from dealing with issues in my life. Issues with family, issues with my weight. I put 1,500 hours into a sports game. 2K19, NBA 2K19 specifically, which I will regard as probably one of, if not the best, NBA 2K in like recent times, in like the past decade. But I had a really weird habit of, if I missed like a shot, I would like quit. I would quit the game. And I think that was another thing of like feeling like I had to be absolutely like perfect with the game. Otherwise I'm a failure. If I miss a shot, oh dude, it's already, call it quits. But that was just a weird thing I did. I don't know if anyone ever else had that experience. I know there's probably been some people that have quit, even like a casual game, but definitely some competitive games if they like miss like 5 shots in a row and they're just pissed. They want to break their controller. I think I've broke a controller before, but video games don't have I don't have as much stake in them. But I've also kind of shifted my vision on what games I really do want to play. So I don't even necessarily play them every day anymore, but I do have like a list of ones that I want to get, and I want to make sure I actually enjoy them. If it's a game that's like $3, $5, and I just want to try it out, like, hey, that's fine, that's whatever. If it comes down to it, I can just give it to a buddy of mine that might get more enjoyment out of it. So better than paying for like a $60, $90, $120 game that is going to be worth nothing in like a month. No one gives a fuck about. And in a couple years' times they'll cut they'll turn the servers off. Will basically be nothing. Another thing that I did on the daily that was a problem was caffeine. Like smoking, I legitimately enjoyed the flavor of these things. I drank a lot of Monster Zero. Sometimes I drink like 3 a day. But it was usually like 2 a day, especially if it was days I worked, it was at least 2 a day. I started drinking them from a young age, and I would be jonesing for one by the weekend sometimes. And I definitely, those first few days off of caffeine, which it's now been over a month, they were rough. But now, as long as I get adequate sleep, things are fine. I have more energy than really any other point in my life, and that one was the first one that was actually hard. Even video games weren't really that hard. It was more of like I was just sick of fucking the bullshit going on with all these garbage games being made. But caffeine was legitimately difficult to quit. I did cut back to like, I would do like 1 a day, and then I cut it to 1 on gym days, so it was like 3 times a week or 4, or something like that. And then it just phased out. So it wasn't really all that big of a struggle, but those first few days, that was tough, I'll admit. Now, the next thing that I was a daily user of and was actually difficult, and I'm still battling with, is pornography. I was exposed to pornography at a young age. I stumbled upon a family member's stash, sorting through like some of their like DVDs. Like it was, I think, mixed in with some like regular movies, and I could tell that it was explicit stuff, but like that, I got curious, and I threw it in the DVD player and I watched it, and yeah, that sent me down a pretty rough path for sure. Another thing, just like marijuana, it can keep you complacent, man. It can keep you from really dealing with the struggles you have in your life and trying to move forward. Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes here. I want to really make sure that like I kind of get my message across of how problematic it was. But up to that point, I was exposed to other explicit material, like watching shows like on DVD, like the uncensored, like the stuff that you wouldn't normally see on TV, the stuff they wouldn't bleep out. I was exposed to that. I got to play some explicit video games too. That is something I should have mentioned about video games. Not too many M-rated games, or if they were M-rated, it was usually just like violence. It wasn't usually anything like super sexual, but I did have that, and like there's definitely like a combo with video games and porn for sure. There's a reason. I mean, you can look at the mods that people create for some of their games. I think Skyrim alone is a good enough example of that. Enough fucking said, right? But they almost go hand in hand for things that teenagers use to cope, coping mechanisms for sure. But I started to learn about how the porn industry exploits people. It sells this false like sense of empowerment to young people, especially young women, and really it's just another way of pimping people out. It's really what it is. Someone managing your OnlyFans or Fansly and taking a cut of your money is really just the same as if you're a stripper or a prostitute and the club manager or the pimp is taking a cut of your money. The only difference is that it's through a screen. But yeah, I don't know if I ever went a day, like years straight, without watching, for like some years at least. And then occasionally it'd only be a break if I went to go hang out with a buddy for like a weekend. I could hold off until then, like the social pressure, and like I wasn't an absolute degenerate, right? But definitely not a definitely wasn't doing me any favors, man. I decided to delete certain apps, Reddit specifically. I don't have any like blockers on my phone, but I haven't felt tempted in a while, and yeah, it was hard though. That like first week, that was a struggle, and I had to let myself feel that. That's really what it comes down to when it comes to battling these things, these addictions, is that you have to let yourself feel. Also, apologies if you all are hearing a child in the background. Roommate's kid. That's just it's late at night, and so sorry about that. I don't really know how to cut that out. We're working on it though, I guess. But that was my second worst addiction. That took up basically half my life, if not more, from like 11 years old till now. And I'm glad to be past it. I think one thing people really, and I was falling into this trap too. One thing people say they'll do is, oh, if I just get in a relationship, I won't do it anymore. I won't watch porn. But oftentimes, statistics show that's not true, man. It's really not. At least not long term. Maybe you can hold off for a while, maybe longer than you ever have before, but you'll come back to it. It sets up unrealistic expectations, and it makes you see people differently. But I could probably make a video just about my struggles with pornography, but I figured that, for the purpose of this video, it was meant to be like a catch-all, and so I figure you guys get the idea as to why I moved past that, and I'm hoping that I can continue to move past it. But that's still a battle. But my biggest battle is with food. That one should have been fairly obvious. Really it comes down to me consuming processed garbage basically since I was a child. Probably since I was like a toddler. I think we always kind of had snacks around in the house, man. And I've been overweight since preschool. I was 150 pounds in second grade. I was 200 pounds in sixth grade. I was 300 pounds in ninth grade. And I was nearly 400 pounds by the time I graduated high school. Thankfully, I'm under 300 pounds again. And I think I'm going to shoot for like 225. I think that'll be good if I can get into that 15 to 20% body fat area, and maybe that means I might have to cut a little more, but we're moving in the right direction. But processed garbage, seriously, and I come from a low-income family. We had access to social benefits, we had access to food stamps, and honestly, I'm maybe a hot take. I think it's gained a lot of traction in recent times, but you shouldn't be allowed to buy that shit on food stamps, man. You should not be allowed to buy garbage on another person's dime. That's another issue too. A lot of this stuff, not only is it if it is cheap, then that, hell, you can it makes it real easy to buy up, but also there's some garbage that people pay for that is overpriced, and I think one of the issues, just like with video games, if people don't step away and refuse to buy the shit, then companies are going to keep jacking up the prices. If you're going to pay $10 for fast food, which I know you can't get on food stamps, but plenty of people in low-income situations make these decisions. Just like people that have a lot of disposable income, right? They will if they accept to pay $10 for their Happy Meal, then what's going to stop that company from jacking it to 12? Fast food is outrageous. I have had it, I think, maybe once or twice in a month the past few months, and I don't even like doing that anymore. But it used to be like an everyday thing. I had one point in my life where I ordered takeout, or I got food delivered more than I would buy from the grocery store. And I don't want to go back to that. Like I said in my last video, I used to be a pizza 3 nights a week kind of guy, man. And now my cheat days are sparing, or it's done sparingly, like every other month. I might even hold off. I know it's been almost 2 months since my last cheat day, but I might make it another month just to really accelerate the journey, so I don't feel like I'm losing any days. But that was a big thing. But I continued, you know, even when I was buying my own food, I continued to make those choices. And now I've cut a lot of junk out, including some of the stuff that's considered healthy. My grocery list, again, it's mostly the same. For me, it's usually I get animal protein, I'll get chicken, I might get some ground beef on sale, some ground turkey, I get eggs, I get yogurt, I'll get cheeses, I'll get nuts, I'll get peanut butter, I'll get some like mustard, some like low calorie or no calorie condiments. And yeah, you can say that's boring, and you know maybe it is to you. But to me, it's consistent. I don't go hungry, and I can make it taste good. But I reached my breaking point at 23, and I'm glad I did, because some people never reach their breaking point. Some people just die. Some people die at 400 pounds, 500 pounds, 600 pounds, 1,000 pounds. So I'm gonna keep eating cleaner, and I'm gonna keep cutting shit. And maybe people will say you're going too extreme, but I think it's extreme to not eat real food. Read the labels on the shit, man. But you know, I guess that's kind of where I'm at in life. Again, I don't like exactly where I'm at, but I like that I'm moving. I like the direction I'm moving in. And I guess I should kind of talk about something that might seem a little ridiculous to you guys, but a deal of reasoning as to why I'm trying to better myself. I do believe I am worthy of having a healthy body, free of toxic substances, and I do believe I am worthy of continuing to better my life in all aspects. But I can't deny that spite is a partial motivator for why I'm trying to better myself. And for you wrestling fans, some of you may be able to relate. When I was about 4 or 5 years old, I first saw a wrestler on TV known as CM Punk. He's very popular nowadays, of course. But by that point, he had built himself up, and he had got to the WWE, right? To the big company, the big wrestling company where the money's to be made, right? And his whole gimmick was, just like a lot of things in wrestling, was also really who he was, right? Blending reality with fiction. His gimmick was that he was straight edge. By gimmick, I mean character. That's what he was. He was meant to be straight edge. You know, yeah, he had the piercings and he had the tattoos, but he wasn't a drug addict. Remember his words. Like, he was addicted to wrestling, man. He was addicted to competition. And I thought it was like the coolest thing, because I grew up in a family full of addicts. Gambling addicts, alcoholics, drug addicts. And at a young age, I could see the pain. I didn't really understand it. And I thought I thought it was partly my responsibility to fix some of the people in my family. Of course, I realized that wasn't my job, and it wasn't really a possibility either. But that took a while to realize. At the very least, I had the idea that I thought it was cool. Being straight edge was cool, and I do think it is cool. I don't know if I could exactly label myself as that. I don't know if I could necessarily get involved with the community. I'm tempted to. I'm tempted to get on social media and get involved with that, or on different platforms to engage with groups like that. But all I knew was that, like, 5-year-old me thought he was like the coolest guy ever. And I was legitimately kind of like, I was heartbroken when he was cut, or well, company like cut ties with him, man. And I was ecstatic when a decade later he returned to that very same company. And I gave him a pass. I gave him a pass on saying he would never like work with the company. I gave him a pass on that, or like I gave him a pass on when he came back and said that he wasn't there to make friends, he was there to make money, because honestly, you know what? I get it. I wanted to be a wrestler when I grew up, and then I realized all the issues with it. One of those being is if you don't make it big, if you're not in like that 1%, the 1% that you see on TV, millions of people see on TV multiple nights a week, you're probably doing worse than a lot of people. It's like if you're not in the top 1%, top 5% of artists, you're probably broke or pretty damn close, right? Or you're not doing that that's your side thing, man. And there were other things, like the travel schedule, the politics, the toll it takes on your body, hearing about the addictions that people got to try and just make it through and cope with the pain and just everything. But what really, really shook me was that not that he flip flopped on that. He went back to WWE. He came back for money. But I believe it was 2019 or 2020, he called out another wrestler because he said that he would he tweeted saying he'd never suck a blood money covered dick. He would never wrestle in the Middle East, never wrestle in Saudi Arabia. And then he backpedaled. He apologized. And you could say, well, people change, right? And yeah, sure. But I think that's a compromise. I think that is a step further than just saying, well, I'm in it for the money. That's saying I don't care about what's going on, really. I'm going to bury my head in the sand and ignore it because it suits me. Because I personally profit from it. That feels fucking fake to me. It makes me feel like he's CM sellout. That's what it made me feel like. And you could call me selfish. You could call me a narcissist. You could say I'm solipsistic. Whatever label you want to throw on me, I don't know. But to me, I can do better than that. And maybe he doesn't regret it. And maybe he won't regret it until the day he dies, but I think he will one day. So, Phil, I hope you're happy with that choice, man. But I could never be. So I'm going to make a commitment to continue living a straight edge lifestyle, I guess you could say. At least what other people would call it. I think it matches up. And I'm not looking to be someone that gatekeeps it. I think at the core, if it means no recreational drug use, no alcohol, and I guess for me it would be no promiscuity. I want to keep that in check, and I'm going to have to continue to battle with that. I am, but I'm hoping I'm never in a position where I'm going to have to explain to people on the platform that I built, if I ever, however high this gets, or that I'll have to explain that I wasn't really me. And I want this channel to be about that. I want you guys to see me. Yeah, you're seeing me through a screen, but it's still me. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure how to end this video. I do want to say that I'm if you are a user of any of these things, obviously there's some that I would say no, you should get off that. You should seek some help, some hard drugs and whatnot. But I'm not going to get on you. I'm not going to say, like, if you have a drink here or there, whatever, man. You go on vacation here or there and you want to toke up with your buddies, go for it. That's not for me. So I'm going to remind you that if you do some of this stuff from like every once in a while, and it's not something daily, and it's not straining you if you don't have it, or it's not straining your wallet, kind of whatever the fuck, man. But at the same time, it's just as okay to abstain from doing it. And you shouldn't feel guilt for choosing to not participate in it. So, yeah, I guess that's where we're at. I've moved past a lot of these things, but some of them I'm still battling with. And I plan to keep myself as transparent as possible. If I fuck up, I'll call myself out. But yeah, I don't know what the next video is going to be. Again, you all leave some suggestions, leave some comments on how I can improve. Share this with your friends. Get it out there. I hope everyone, has a good rest of their night, and keep it real.